Facebook is usually free to use, but for a short time, they might pay you to not use it. What am I talking about? Well, the link is here this week. I'm Victor Medina, and this is 5 Fact Friday. Hey everybody, welcome back to 5 Fact Friday. I'm so excited you can join us. I've got 5 great links for you this week, but I wanted to get started talking about an outdoor seminar that we held a couple of weeks ago that actually went out great. We had a tent out there, we had people that showed up. The next day though, it was scheduled to rain. So what we did is we postponed that and we took that seminar and we created a digital virtual presentation. It was absolutely 100% live. It was great. A lot of people had a lot of fun, and we got all the people that were supposed to attend in person to watch the webinar. What we did though is we recorded that, and we're including a link for you to be able to replay that at any time. So if you're interested in learning our thoughts on how to retire in a recession, as well as learning some really neat tax planning strategies, then I urge you to register for the replay and give it a view. So now let's get to the links for this week, and the first link is what I'm reading. We are celebrating, I guess is the wrong word, but we're marking the anniversary of September 11th and the attacks that happened on that date. And one of the things that I always enjoyed was watching Jon Stewart advocate for health care to be provided for the first responders. So I thought, in memory of the September 11th attacks, that I would go ahead and give you a link that recaptures his testimony in front of Congress, where he sort of took them to task for not passing a bill to cover the first responders. It's one of my most favorite impassioned speeches, and I urge you to give it a listen. The next link is what I'm watching. And in these days with the pandemic, we all need some good news, and I found a great link about a guy who noticed a kid who kept riding his bike on his driveway. And so he did something special for him, and I'm gonna leave it as a surprise. You gotta watch the video to see what he creates. The next link is what's new in tech, and it is the link that I talked about in the beginning of the video. Facebook, for good or bad, whatever you think about it, is starting an experiment where they're paying people to be able to not use their platform in anticipation of the election. They want to see whether or not it makes a difference. And so I think it's a really interesting thing, because social media has been one of the most prevalent platforms for information and disinformation to be disseminated. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. They've even decided that they are going to shut down political advertising in the week before the election. We'll see if it makes a difference. The next link is what's new and legal. And it covers a discussion, question and answer about somebody that wants to know what's involved in being an executor over a will. And I think it's an important topic because too many times we create these estate plans without discussing the roles that we are putting people into. And so our firm has done something fairly unique, I think. I haven't heard of other people doing it anyway, which is that we send out note cards that explain the fiduciary roles that people are appointed to in the plans that we create. So if you're a power of attorney agent or somebody that's a healthcare agent, we're informing you what your responsibilities are going to be. And the reason why I think that's important is it gives people a series of expectations on exactly what their obligations are and what they're going to have to do if they're ever called into service. So the link is good for you to read, and know that if you've ever done planning with us, we have a way of conveying that information to your appointed fiduciaries. And if you ever want to do planning, know that that's a benefit that we include. The last link for this week is what's new in retirement, and it covers the negative effects of COVID-19 on forcing early retirements. More and more people are considering early retirements, whether it's because they're out of a job and don't think that they can find a new one, or they're on the front line, one of these essential workers that has a risk of getting sick and they're afraid of what's going to happen there. But either way, they're forced to deal with the retirement question earlier than they anticipated. Well, what do? In our practice, we think that the most important thing that they can do is create a plan. Now, in our firm, we call that the Make It Last Retirement Checkup. And what it does is it covers 4 areas that we think are essential for you to get in place before you make a retirement decision. Or if you've already made a retirement decision, 4 areas that you should be evaluating to make sure that your plan is working the best for you. We think that you should take a look at your income, your investments, your tax planning, and your estate or legacy planning. And when you take a look at those, at least the way that we do it, we'll let you know what's in good order, what needs addressing, and what our recommendations are. So if you're thinking about retirement, whether or not you've been forced into it because of COVID-19 or not, and you're interested in learning what your options are, you can contact us. The consultation's 100% free. We'll talk about where you are in retirement or approaching retirement and talk to you about what it would take to create a plan for you to be able to navigate retirement with complete peace of mind. You deserve it. You've been working this hard. If you're facing the retirement decision, you want to know that it's all going to work out in the end. A plan can help you answer that question. So let's review the links for this week. The first is what I'm reading, which is the link to the testimony that Jon Stewart gave in front of Congress to have them pass legislation to cover first responders. The next is what I'm watching, and it's an adorably cute video about a guy who notices a kid who's riding on his driveway and what he does for them. The next is what's new in tech, and that's Facebook's policy or experiment where they're going to pay people not to use their platform. What's new in legal, which is what it takes to be an executor. And finally, what's new in retirement, which is the COVID-19 effects on forcing early retirement. And remember, if you're interested in learning on what it would take to retire in a recession, how you'd survive, and more importantly, what great tax planning would look like in retirement, give a click over and watch the webinar replay from the session that we had a couple weeks ago. We'd love to show that off to you. Well, that's it for this week. Hope you have a fantastic week. And I'll tell you, all my kids went back to school, and it takes a NASA engineer to figure out what their schedules are. Some people are on days, day A and day B. Some people are weeks A and B. Sometimes I got people in my office. Sometimes they're walking from home. It is a complete mess. So if you've got a kid or a grandkid that's going back to school this week, good luck to you. All right, that's it for this week on Make It Last. We'll catch you in a couple weeks. Bye-bye.
How does one really know that they're ready for retirement? How much money is enough? And how can you prepare for the social and emotional side of the equation?